internet friends, and welcome to Monsters Among Us, where any creature a little less than human is always welcome. Especially if you're a demonic baby, or a baby eater, whatever. Just prey on the innocent, the weak, and the unborn, because apparently that's the hip thing to do in the supernatural creature community down in the Philippines. The Filipino creatures don't mess around, and by the end of this video, you will know not to traipse around in lonely forests, and to be wary of any women you should meet after sundown, which honestly just sounds like common sense in either case, but regardless, here are two nightmarish Filipino monsters. Imagine yourself walking through the woods. The sun's just set, and the forest canopy is throwing strange shadows left and right out of the corners of your eyes, but you press onwards towards your destination. Then, out of nowhere, you hear the cry of a baby, but you know that you're miles from the next town. So you wait for the sound of a parent to hush the child, but there's nothing. Just you, the forest, and the echoes of a child, clearly in distress. You then notice yourself walking towards the sound, even though you don't recall telling your feet to move, but you keep going, knowing that you have to find this child and help it. And as you get closer to the sound, you suddenly spot it, a little shivering, shrieking bundle in the brush just a few yards away. So you reach down and pick the bundle up, uncover the child's face, and you see this. And in that moment of sheer terror, said child rips your face off and morphs into its true demonic form as it eats you alive, and your screams are lost in the dense sea of the trees around you. Not my ideal way to go out. You've just fallen victim to a creature known as the Chanak, or the Tiyanak, I'm not sure how to pronounce that, but it's a demonic entity that lives in remote forests and lures unsuspecting wayward travelers deeper into the woods by imitating the cries of a human child, which is kind of a dick move. It is said that this demon was once a child itself, which, if you've met any child, you know this is always a possibility. It was a child who didn't live long enough to be baptized, and so when it died, its spirit entered a special realm of hell where it was transformed into an evil entity that was then released back into the mortal realm to wreak havoc and consume the flesh of other humans. Though, depending on the region, that could be different. Some say the Chanak is the result of a woman and a demon doing the nasty, and others say that it's a vengeful spirit of an aborted infant come to seek revenge on its mother, or that it's the spirit of an unborn baby whose mother died before she was able to give birth. Now in the version I told you, the baby/demon eats you alive, but in some versions of this legend, the creature is never even seen. It merely lures you deeper and deeper into the woods until you become so lost you're never seen or heard from again, which seems to play more to the idea of the Chanak being the wandering spirit of an aborted or unborn child. It leaves you to wander aimlessly, mirroring the way its spirit was left to wander, lost somewhere between the living and the dead. But how does it lure you? Because I don't know about you, but if I'm out in the middle of the woods, in the middle of nowhere, walking around, and I hear a freaking baby cry, I'm a nope out of there. But it seems like the Chanak's cry puts any who hear it under a sort of trance so that they go searching for the source no matter what. So considering that, it seems like it would be difficult to deceive a creature whose very purpose is to deceive you, but apparently it's not that hard. It's just not something you would think to do in the face of a monster that wants to eat you for dinner. Firstly, if you listen closely enough to the cry before its spell is cast over you, you can hear an underlying, evil little laughter that tells you that's not a real baby. Run. Or you could ward off the creature by wearing your shirt inside out. Apparently, they find this hysterical. It's like you've given them a good laugh, and they don't get that often, so they reward you with your life, and they're like,
"Oh man, thanks. You good to go. You get on out of here."
I imagine plugging your ears might also work, but who knows? Now, I wasn't able to find much on the origins of the Chanak or what cultural factors might have contributed to its creation, but one source did draw an interesting parallel from an indigenous group of people located in the Philippines known as the Taboli. Now, the Taboli people, instead of burying their dead infants, hang them in little baskets in the trees, and this comes from the belief that children who pass away automatically become angelic beings, beings of light, and that beings of light should not be buried or even touch the ground upon death. So the babies are covered with demay leaves to mask the smell of decay and hung in the trees, which I'm sure is a very normal and respectful thing to do within their culture. But for me, finding myself wandering upon a forest just littered with baby graves hanging from the trees sounds like something out of my worst nightmare, because surprise, I hate babies! Okay, I don't hate babies. I was a baby once, as weird as that is. And I recognize the miracle that is life. But as I've mentioned before, children freak me out. They're always sticky or covered in something gross, and always the ones being targeted and or possessed by demons in all the movies, and they see all the ghosts and they're always the ones talking to them. Children have this mysteriousness about them, and I personally find it creepy. And if you like children, that's cool. You do you. But you gonna be the one looking for this kid and gets your face ripped off, and I'm gonna be the one who remembers the tale of the Chanak and runs clear in the opposite direction. Now for this next cryptid, you could be anywhere and be vulnerable to its attack. But like the Western culture's vampire, this creature cannot survive in the sunlight. It's a creature of the shadows waiting to devour all of you night owls out there, which is why I'm always in bed by 8 p.m. But let's say for the story's sake that you're out taking a late night stroll, not really thinking about where you're going, and you somehow wander upon a stretch of road that you don't recognize. And out of the corner of your eye, you spot some movement at the side of a nearby house. And if you squint, you can just make out a figure half in, half out of the shadows. And then you realize it's a woman. She's standing still, facing away from you, and when she suddenly leans over, you think for a moment that she's undressing and you're gonna get lucky. But then you see that this is no ordinary woman. 2 large, bat-like wings sprout from her back, and as she stands tall, the wings lift her torso completely away from her lower body, which you now see is rooted into the ground. It's not a clean cut either. There's blood and guts. She's torn herself in half. But as the torso rises into the sky, you catch a glimpse of the woman's face, which is more demon than human, and a long, waggling tongue hanging from her mouth. Ducking behind a nearby house, or shitting your pants, whichever, you notice that as she flies closer, her inhuman screech sounds like it's getting further away, but there's no denying that she's moving towards you. You can see where her torso stops, her wide, glowing, red, scary eyes, and talons protruding out of her fingers. Then she locks eyes with you and flies overhead, leaving you be. But just because she's left you alone doesn't mean she's not dangerous. Far from it. In fact, you weren't good enough for her. You weren't her ideal prey. You see, this creature, this torso flying bat hag vampire lady, is called the Manananggal. The Manananggal. 3 N's, the Manananggal. And the Manananggal prefers a specific type of meal. Flying vampire, sometimes sorceress lady, is likely off to perch on top of a pregnant woman's house, where she will then pierce the roof with her insanely long, hollow tongue, and while the pregnant woman sleeps, the Manananggal uses the sharp part of her tongue to pierce the womb and suck out the unborn child's heart. You heard me right. Someone thought of this. So some say she also uses her tongue to drain the blood from unsuspecting people who are just trying to get a good night's rest. And in some versions, you aren't even safe from the Manananggal, even if you're awake. She apparently also enjoys luring men away using an attractive female form before getting them alone, revealing her nasty hag form, and proceeding to eat them alive, taking extra care to devour the heart and the liver. So what exactly is the Manananggal? She's a variation of another Filipino monster known as an aswang, which is like the Philippines version of a vampire. She shapeshifts, she robs graves, and she eats children, and prefers her meals to be served in coffins. She eats dead people. Some mothers tell their children that the aswang only eats the livers and hearts of disobedient children, but that sounds like something a mom would say just to scare you, right? So the Manananggal is a type of aswang, like how a crocodile is a type of giant-ass scary lizard. Yeah. Oh god. And yes, you heard me correctly. This creature roots its lower body to the ground, rips itself in half at the midline where its torso flies away with giant leathery wings to hunt in the cover of darkness since it's allergic to the sunlight. And also, like most other vampires, she hates garlic and has an aversion to ashes, which I imagine comes from the burning feeling she gets should sunlight touch her icky, icky flesh. And her inhuman screech sounds fainter the closer she gets to you in order to trick you into thinking she's moving away, when in reality,
She's right behind you.
So, how do you ward off such a horrifying and bloodthirsty creature? Well, again, extra garlic on the pizza won't hurt with a side of ashes, and apparently she also doesn't like scissors, so keep those nearby, especially if you are pregnant. If you are pregnant, you are her favorite meal. So all of you out there with child, be extra careful and carry scissors. Just don't run with them for the love of all things, duh. But what is the most efficient way to ensure your safety and the safety of your loved ones? Well, you must risk your life at night while she is hunting and go out and try to find where she has rooted her lower body to the ground. Then you cover the open wound at her midline with either, you guessed it, garlic or ashes. Some say salt works, but hell, if I saw that motherfucker's lower half, I'm just gonna use all three. Just in case. Legend says that this prevents the Menenengal from reattaching itself to its body, and therefore it can't move out of the sunlight, and it will die at dawn. Now, as far as why or what implored people to conjure up such a creature from the vast darkness of their minds, I couldn't really find much. I found the etymology of the word Menenengal, which means the one who separates itself, which makes sense, but beyond that, it was difficult to find any reasons behind its origin. But while researching this entire video, a common theme amongst most of these monsters is that they prey on pregnant women or the children of pregnant women. And I have one question. Why? If anyone knows the answers to this, I'd love to know. I looked up infant mortality rates in the Philippines over the years, thinking maybe that was the reason, and one statistic showed that it was as high as 50-something back in the 1970s per every 1,000 births, but that it's dramatically dropped over the years. But again, I have no idea if that has to do with anything. So if you know anything about Filipino folklore or where some of these legends stem from, you guys know I'm into that stuff, so send your knowledge my way if you have it. So what has the Philippines taught me? Well, it's taught me that I'm going to steer clear of lonely woods, number one, and getting pregnant, which is something I'm always trying to avoid. And it also reaffirms my belief that some women are just plain-o scary. Alright guys, that's the end of the video, and if you liked what you saw, if you learned something, or if you find this even mildly entertaining, go ahead and give the video a thumbs up. YouTube's algorithm really likes it, and therefore, so do I. And if you like the video, want to see more creepy, true crime, urban legend type of videos, don't forget to subscribe. Also, in the comments, I've noticed a few of you saying that my videos aren't showing up in your subscription boxes when I upload, which is alarming. So just as a PSA, for all my subscribers out there, I upload a video every Friday, and if I ever upload a second video for the week, it will always be on a Sunday. If for some reason that changes, or I have to switch days one week, or the video is late, or etc., I try to let you guys know that via social media, which is why you should follow me on my Twitter and my Facebook. I also have an Instagram and a Snapchat, but that's how I give you guys updates and interact with you, so if you're into that, you can do that. Also, we're about to hit 40,000 subscribers, which is crazy. Thank you guys for all the support. It means the world to me. I think my goal for the end of the year is going to be 50,000, and I'm not going to be upset if I don't hit that, but I feel like half of 100 sounds like a good, satisfying, attainable number. But I will need your guys' help, and what helps me most is when you guys share your videos with your friends, or your grandparents, or your cat. Maybe not your cat, because your cat doesn't have thumbs. They can't press that like button. Just interacting with me or sharing the videos with other people always really helps me out a lot. Also, I'm in talks to do a couple more collaborations with some other horror community YouTubers, so look out for those coming your way. I'd say probably within the next month or so. Thank you guys always for the support, for watching, for liking and subscribing. It really means a lot to me. And if you somehow missed it, you can watch my last video by clicking on the link in the top over there. It's a video of my Nameless series where we talk about unsolved Jane and John Doe cases. Or if you need something more along the lines of this video, you can watch my recent Creepiest Sounds video. Thank you guys again. Stay safe. Carry garlic and scissors and ashes and rice and salt, just in case. And fear babies always. That's my advice to you. And have a good night. Fuck, I nailed that! Looking shiny as hell, though. Jasper, you best shut the fuck up. You best be quiet, boy. You best be quiet. What the fuck is this? Like, I get my hair good to go, and then I sit in front of the camera, and one hair is just like... Menenengal. I don't know what that was. I like saying I'm in talks to do things, like it's super professional, and we're just like literally DMing each other. It's my dance when I'm done. Fun fact, the second I'm done with these videos, I take all this off and reveal my true hag form. I tried to walk off screen, but you can't escape this screen here. It's such a small wall. That's an attractive angle. Oh yeah, look at that chin. Goodbye. Oh, you're still recording. I pressed the button, you fuck.